Good afternoon. My name's Jennifer Verdugo, and I'm the Strategic Planning Director with AARP California. Welcome to everyone joining us. Today, we are live to talk with you about a funding opportunity, the AARP Community Challenge Grant Program. The AARP Community Challenge is back for the sixth year in a row and is currently accepting applications for funding. The AARP Community Challenge is open to eligible 501c3, C4, and C6 nonprofits and government entities. The grants fund quick action, innovative projects aimed at improving public spaces, housing, transportation, civic engagement, diversity, equity, and inclusion, communities' efforts to build engagement and supplement federal funding, and other innovative ideas. Past grants have included park and alleyway revitalizations for multi-generational use, improvements of unsafe intersections, housing projects, and more. You can learn more about this grant opportunity and apply online at aarp.org/community challenge. Applications are due by 5 p.m. Eastern Time on March 22nd. And to help you spark ideas for potential projects, we have two special guests joining us to share a bit about their organizations and the projects they've completed with the Community Challenge funding. Joining us today is Teddy Fang with the Florence Fang Community Farm and Emily Schwing with Veggielution. If you have a question about the Community Challenge, please put it in the comments. We'll take a few questions live toward the end of our conversation. We'll start with Teddy. Thank you again for joining us today. Can you tell us more about yourself and the Florence Fang Community Farm?
Well, thank you, Jennifer, for having me here today, and thank you, AARP, for having this Community Challenge Grant. We came across the Community Challenge Grant just about the same time the farm was forming, and at that time, it wasn't even a farm. We had really started it as a community organizing project because the neighborhood that we were in is in the Bayview district of San Francisco. The Bayview district is the most socioeconomically disadvantaged neighborhood, the most underserved neighborhood, but it's also the most diverse neighborhood of San Francisco. And so there was a real lack of open space, a lack of green space, a lack of gathering space, a lack of community space in the neighborhood. And so we wanted to start a program that could bring everybody together. And so we found a piece of land and we invited the community to join us. And as with community organizing, you never know what to expect as to who's gonna come. And then after the people come, you never know what to expect on how things will develop. And so it really started as a community open space. We thought of it as a community garden. And then it has just grown a lot since then. And now we call it a community farm. And again, part of the reason that we were able to grow was because of the Community Challenge Grant from AARP that helped us very early on.
Great. Thanks, Teddy. Now, the Florence Fang Community Farm received the Community Challenge Grant funding in 2017. That's the first year that AARP actually launched the program. Can you tell us more about your project and how the grant supported it?
Well, in 2017, we had already found our piece of land and we put out a call to people to come and join us. And so people had started coming to join us and we're looking forward to doing some work. And we didn't know how we were going to be able to proceed, but we thought when we saw this, we said, oh, we think that AARP can help us. And just to give you like an idea of the kind of people that were joining us in the beginning and a little look at the farm in the early days, we have a little video showing about the people of the farm back in around 2017. so as you can see in the video, we ended up with a lot of seniors coming in, older adults, and mostly older Asian immigrants with limited English speaking abilities. But we also had younger folks and diverse folks too. And so it was a matter of everybody working together. And, this AARP grant, supported that intergenerational interactions. And that was an important thing for us. So we fit very well right there. And all those people, you can see they were all kind of excited and wanting to work at the farm, and so they all had big dreams and wanted to grow the farm, expand the farm, grow more vegetables, feed more people in the community. And so we applied for the Community Challenge Grant, the AARP Community Challenge Grant, to help fulfill their dreams. And we were one of the ones selected. We were very fortunate, and everybody was really excited. I remember AARP had these little fans back at the time, and all the members had fans and were waving the fans and really excited that AARP was supporting us. And so that's what we were using the funds for, really to grow our farm.
Awesome. And can you tell us more about the impact the project had on the community?
Yeah, well, basically, it helped us take the farm to a whole nother level. And it wasn't just the funding from AARP, I must say, that we have a lot of partners, but the AARP funding was really a Kickstarter for us. That was the one that gave us the inspiration and momentum to keep doing more. And since then, we have continued to increase the number of partners we work with and raising more funds, but that was the one that really kind of energized people in the very beginning. We do have a little picture of how when we started and got the fund. You can see on the left side there, it was really a barren piece of land. And then you can see how we're growing now, and they're also proud of their crops. This is like the biggest cauliflower that I've ever seen, and they're all so proud. They all want to show off what they've been able to do. And so that's one of the ways that the funding has been able to help us and has really made a big impact. And one of the important parts of what we do is we call ourselves a community farm. We're not just an urban farm growing those kinds of vegetables, but we also do events. And as I mentioned, the diversity element for us and the intergenerational element for us is really big. So we do put on community events. And inspired by AARP. And so we have another little video of one of our more recent community events, and still acknowledging how AARP is a big part of what we do.
Right here, okay? Chef Kevin and Chef Martin Yan cooking for the community. It's an honor.
Unity can come together and build and grow and flourish. This farm is a testament for not only the community, but you're building of bridges and making sure that there are cross-cultural relationships that exist. It's great to have.
Thank you, Commissioner Richardson. Tagaho, Noai Wajong Singh, Sichon Si.
Thank Mrs. Fang for her leadership and her vision to provide fresh produce here to this community that traditionally has been a food desert.
It just makes me so excited just to watch that every time I see it.
So inspirational. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Teddy, if you could give any advice to those looking to apply to the 2022 Community Challenge, what would it be?
Uh, just do it. I mean, this opportunity is something that's for any organization that serves older adults. Um, and although there's a lot of people that apply, there's a lot of awards made, and AARP gives out these grants to all across the country. So it don't matter where you're at, they could support you anywhere that you're at. Um, in doing the application, I would say, show your passion, convey the passion that you have for your project. And I think that's the most important thing. But overall, the only advice I have is go for it.
Great words. Thank you again, Teddy. Really appreciate that. Now, Emily, thank you for joining us today as well. Can you tell us more about yourself and Vegilution?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jennifer, for having Vegilution here today. And Teddy, your work is so inspiring. I'm not sure how I'm going to follow up on those amazing videos. And it's lunchtime right now, and that all those food segments made me really hungry. It looked all fantastic. My name's Emily. I'm with Vegilution. Vegilution is an urban community farm in East San Jose. We operate inside of a City of San Jose regional park. Vegilution, we're a 6-acre park inside of the 48-acre park. So it's a pretty large open space area in a very densified area of East San Jose. And our mission is that we bring people together through food and farming to build community in East San Jose. So we're a very place-based organization in East San Jose, and we focus on environmental education, food sovereignty work, and community engagement. And so we believe that, food connects all of us from diverse backgrounds, ages. It's our, line of storytelling that we all share together to share cultures, histories, relationships, and build bonds between communities. So.
Great. Thank you. And Vegilution was a 2021 Community Challenge grant recipient just last year. Can you tell us about the project and how the grant supported your efforts?
Yeah, absolutely. So we were very grateful to be awarded the Community Challenge grant last year. And it was actually for a new location of Vegilution. So like I mentioned, Vegilution is our kind of headquarters is in East San Jose. But last year during the pandemic, we were approached actually by the San Jose Downtown Association with an opportunity to help partner to take over a vacant parking lot that was currently private property, and that the developer didn't have any plans on building. And it was just kind of this empty, blighted lot in the middle of a very strong arts and cultural district in downtown San Jose. And so we decided this was a good opportunity to kind of expand our reach from East San Jose, take our programming, take our community engagement work, and kind of go into a different neighborhood to expand our work. And so over the course of about 6 months in partnership with the Downtown Association, we actually built out a demonstration garden as well as a dog park in partnership with the Downtown Association. And so we were, super involved in getting this park all built up. And then at the same time, knowing that we need to do community engagement work with this new neighborhood. And so that was what this funding from AARP was kind of allowed us to do, was really pilot different types of partnerships and programming for us to start working with this new local neighborhood in downtown San Jose. And we knew that it was a very intergenerational neighborhood. Lots of families live right around this park and right around the downtown area. So we did a lot of work working actually with local universities to do community outreach, to try to bring these families out through different varieties of programming. So we partnered with a lot of art agencies, different art museums, theater companies to host workshops in our pocket park. And it's called the Sofa Pocket Park. And you can see here some photos of volunteers, planting out some of the garden beds, different art activities. There's the San Jose Quilts and Textiles Museum right next door to us. So we did a whole summer series of doing different types of planting of plants that were actually dye plants, and we can do art activities with families out using those dye plants on different fabrics at the Quilt Museum. We're able to bring over. And then also just really kind of, making it more of a consistent park in that space. There's not a lot of open space in the downtown region in that area of San Jose. And we really wanted to bring an open space where all families could come out to have access to it. And that was really important to us too, was also making sure the whole space was ADA accessible. We actually have some ADA accessible garden beds in that space because the space is open to the public. So anyone could kind of, wander by when our staff is there doing activities and just kind of come on in. And we want to make sure that anyone who comes in, can participate in activities. And then we'll go home and, tell their friends and families to come back out at another time. But this funding really kind of helped us do the community engagement work to bring those families out to the park, and also helped us build those partnerships with organizations right around the park itself.
Great. And what beautiful photos too. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So Emily, if you could give advice now to those looking to apply to this year's Community Challenge Grant Program, what would that be?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Teddy, definitely just, go for it. But then also, think about, different partners that you've been wanting to work with and, haven't found that right opportunity to bring them into your work that could help bring in a new audiences into your program. And specifically families, right? Thinking about how can you get families more involved in your work, and like don't have to look too far. For us, it was like literally just going next door and knocking on the museum and saying, "Hey, is this something you want to partner with us on?" And so I think just looking as close as possible to find those partners, because the more partners you have involved, the bigger the reach is of your work and the bigger the impact is of your work. Is what I would suggest. But definitely go for it.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you both so much again for sharing stories and the photos and videos. So we do have some time now to take a few live questions. So let's see what we have coming in. So I think the first question we're seeing is, let's see, can small communities apply for the Community Challenge Grant? So I'll go ahead and take that. So in fact, no, the 38% of challenge grant projects that AARP has funded has gone to rural communities, with another 20% going to suburban communities. Communities with populations as small as several hundred residents have also received grants. So again, encourage folks to just do it and apply. Let's see what other questions are coming in. Okay, for Teddy and Emily, how have your gardens and spaces transformed the surrounding communities? Teddy, you want to start?
We're in the middle of a neighborhood. We're right in the middle of a neighborhood, and you know how it is. Everybody's busy with their lives. So when we started, we flyered and made sure everybody knew. We actually had good response from folks. But as we kept going and kept going, more and more neighbors would just come in and say, "Wow, what's going on over here? We just see it out of our windows and see such a big difference. And before it was a piece of dirt and just like, with garbage and everything on it. And all of a sudden it's becoming very lively." And so right around that neighborhood, you get that kind of, right around where you're at, you get that kind of feedback. And then in the larger neighborhood of the Bayview, more and more people are understanding not just that we have the farm here, but that food grows in the neighborhood. And one of our big things now, as was mentioned in the video, is that our neighborhood, the Bayview, is a food desert. And the question is not just about bringing in food from outside. And with such a diverse community, a lot of times it don't fit with each community eats their own kind of food. So it's not one size fits all. And so now people are seeing, oh, everybody can grow their own kinds of foods. And so now, yeah, we're working to have neighbors do it in their own backyard. And a lot of the community groups, like Emily was saying, our partners are beginning to see maybe there could be kind of a food system, a hyper local food system in the Bayview where we grow it and we cook it and we all eat it in the Bayview. So I think just those are just some of the few kind of impacts that come to me off the top of my head.
Thanks so much, Teddy. Emily?
The only other thing that I would add to that is I think for us we're still very new in this space. We've only really have done programming there now for just about a year, but I think it definitely has kind of opened people's inspiration and kind of creativity, thinking about how what are other spaces in a dense downtown area that aren't being utilized as public open spaces, right? So how could we think about other spaces in the downtown area and either turn them into community gardens or park spaces where different activities can be happening. But just making these spaces more accessible for families and safer for families to go to, and have a location for these families to go to, maybe in an area that they've never been before. And so I'm excited to see what the years bring, and maybe in what it would be 5 years, I'll be in Teddy's spot to be talking about our 5 years of receiving support from AARP for our pocket park. So
Great, thank you. And a follow-up question for both of you, and maybe Emily, you can start on this one. Did you have community buy-in on your projects before you applied for the grant? And if not, how did you get the community on board or excited about your projects?
Yeah, so we absolutely had community buy-in from our current community that we work with in East San Jose, and so we knew that the work we were doing in East San Jose, the projects we were running, the programs we were running, were very successful in bringing people together and building connections. And so we knew that if we kind of take those same tools and programs and bring them to a new location. And again, it's you still have to kind of build that community engagement, because for us it was a completely new space. But we knew at like the root and kind of at the heart and the mission of our programs, it was about bringing people together. And as we learn, we have to kind of tweak programs based on the new neighborhood that we're in. But at the end of the day, knowing that it's about bringing diverse people together. That was since it was kind of new for us, we didn't quite have the runway to do that. But
Great, thank you, Emily. Teddy, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think it depends on your neighborhood. I think the big thing is to try to go out and find community partners. And in our neighborhood, there were just not very many community partners. There's just not any established community groups. By the time we launched, I think we did have 7 of the neighborhood community groups kind of supporting, but still that they didn't represent everybody. And so, as I mentioned, we did do flyering door to door. We also did door knocking to about 150 or 200 doors. And the getting the community buy-in in the beginning, it's like later on, you go back and say that was the funnest part of it, just like meeting everybody, getting their ideas. While you're doing it, you don't know if you're going to get any community buy-in, you don't know where you're going to go. But and so so we did get a bunch of people interested. And when I remember one of the things I remember most clearly is when we brought the initial group together, and we had, again, just this piece of dirt. We said to folks, okay, let's do a community garden. Now, how do you guys want to do a community garden? Okay, one way we could do it is we could go to all the other community gardens in San Francisco and see how they did it, and then kind of choose which pieces we want to do, or we can all just start it from scratch. And they all jumped in at the same time and said, no, we want to do it ourselves. We don't want to see how anybody else did. We want to do it ourselves. And so that's how we did it. And when you get a response like that, you kind of know that you're on your way, because then everybody really has buy-in, and everybody, is committed to doing it. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Great. Thank you both so much. Well, that's all the time we have for live questions today. So, Teddy and Emily, any last words before we close?
Um, my only last word is yes. So we do appreciate AARP because we have a lot of older adults, and also we have a lot of older adults. But I think an important part of working with older adults is the intergenerational part. One thing that I liked about Emily's presentation as well is you can see the diversity, not just among the races or the people, but among generations. And I think that's really important. And when we do our youth programs, there's a lot of folks that support youth programs. But when you do programs for older adults, there's not very many people that can support you and give you like, you know, some encouragement in that area. And AARP really helps in that area. So I guess just to thank AARP for being there.
Thanks so much. Emily?
I would add, onto that gratitude, and then also just, just echoing the importance of, of being able to structure projects and programs for older generations, especially coming out of, this time of COVID where a lot of individuals were in isolation. And so and especially projects that do bring people back together safely. I think this is a really valuable opportunity for not only for organizations, but just for, larger communities in general, to bring people who may have been isolated from families and from loved ones, and think about how can we, use these projects to like heal together, basically. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Teddy and Emily, again for joining us today.
Thank
And
you
to
for
our,
Thank you.
having us.
of course. And to our viewers, if you want to learn more about the Community Challenge and how to apply, please visit aarp.org/community challenge. From there, you can also visit an interactive map that details the over 800 Community Challenge projects that have been granted since 2017. We hope you all have a wonderful day and thank you for joining us for an AARP California Webinar Wednesday conversation.